Hey, welcome to this video. We're going to talk about what the CARES Act says about credit reporting if you get any kind of what the law calls accommodation from your mortgage company, your auto loan company, your credit card company, any type of person that provides credit reporting information to the bureaus. Okay, we'll talk about that law, and we'll talk about what this law says about your mortgage and getting a forbearance on your mortgage. So this is a huge law. I don't know if you can see at the bottom of the screen, and I have the law in a Word document. It's 464 pages. It's like 145,000 words. Huge bill. We're not going to cover uh, even a small part of this. We're only going to cover actually two sections. And this is section 4021 and 4022. So this is the kind of the table of contents here. So we're going to look at 4021, credit protection during COVID-19. In section 4022, foreclosure moratorium and consumer right to request forbearance. So let's skip all the way down to that. So section 4021. So we'll just take this in order of the way it's laid out in the law. So it is modifying the Fair Credit Reporting Act, and this section 1681 S2A, which is the section that regulates a furnisher. So what is a furnisher? A furnisher is somebody who provides or furnishes information to the credit bureaus, to Equifax, Experian, TransUnion, whoever it might be. And so they report on you. So that would be like your mortgage company, your car loan company, it could be a debt collector, it could be any number of people that provide or furnish information. So we're literally changing the Fair Credit Reporting Act here. And we're talking about reporting information during the COVID-19 pandemic. So first we have to have some definitions because we have to know what we're talking about here. So we have accommodation and then covered period. Well, what's an accommodation? Basically, that's any type of help, any type of relief that furnisher provides to you. It could be to defer payments. They say, you know what, you owe $1,000, just make a $200 payment this month. To forbear, to modify a loan, any assistance that they give you. So the law is leaving it very broadly. Whatever the furnisher agrees to do, that's what we mean by accommodation. Now, this only applies during the covered period of the COVID-19 pandemic. So what's the covered period? Beginning on January 31st, 2020, and it ends either 120 days, so 4 months, and this law was passed basically the end of March, 1st of April, or 120 days after the date that the national emergency terminates. Now, to my knowledge, I'm recording this on April 17th, we have not terminated the national emergency. So we know at least we have 4 months from basically the beginning of April. So that'd be April, May, June, July. Okay. But really, I think we're going to have a lot longer than that because I think the national emergency will continue here for a while. All right. Well, what about reporting? So it's going to tell us what the furnishers must do, but then it's going to say, except in one situation. And let's go ahead and look at that exception down here. So this shall not apply with respect to a credit obligation or account of a consumer that has been charged off. So if your car loan has been charged off, your credit card has been charged off, be a little unusual for a mortgage, but if it was charged off, then what we're talking about has no application. Okay, so let's put that aside. So now we say if a furnisher makes an accommodation, so remember, an accommodation is basically anything that helps you. Hey, you make a partial payment. Hey, we're giving you a forbearance for 6 months or 12 months. We're modifying whatever it is. And you do whatever it is that they say. Okay, now for a forbearance, which we'll talk about in the next section, there's really nothing to do. Okay, so as long as you do whatever they tell you to do, then the furnisher shall. So this is not optional. This is not, we hope the Wells Fargo will actually be a good corporate citizen and take pity on you and be nice to. No. The furnisher shall. If they don't, they violate the law. They shall do what? Number one, report the credit obligation or account as current. Well, a lot of people stop there and they go, you know what? I'm 3 months behind. I get my loan or my accommodation here on my mortgage loan, my car loan, my credit card, and now they have to report me as current. No, because in section 2 it says if the credit obligation or account was delinquent before the accommodation, then they maintain the delinquent status unless you bring it current. So let me just put that in normal language. If when you roll into that quote accommodation, again, whatever it is, forbearance, partial payment, deferment, modification, whatever that accommodation is, the moment you enter into it, if you were current, they have to report you as current all the way through that accommodation. If they don't, then they have violated the law. And we need to talk, okay? Because there's some things that you need to do with the credit bureaus to dispute that. And if it doesn't get fixed, then you need to sue whoever is violating this law. It's really, really hard for one of these companies to misunderstand this. It's written very plainly, at least for, laws. It's written fairly plainly here. So if you're current, then they have to report you as current. But if you roll into that accommodation and you're late, 30 days late, then they report you as 30 days late all the way through. Well, if you're 60 days late when you roll into it, they report you as 60 days late. So I've talked about this in other videos. A strategy may be, if you're capable, if you have the money, and I know money's in short supply for a lot of us, but if you have the money, you may want to bring your account current and then go into the forbearance, for example, on your mortgage, because you could be in that forbearance for 12 months. And so what you want to do is be able to say, hey, look, I'm current for those 12 months. You don't want 12 months of, 30 days later, 60 days later, whatever. So that's the law on credit reporting. Very, very powerful. I have absolutely no doubt, particularly mortgage companies, will completely mess this up, okay? And I did a live YouTube, live stream. And somebody on there was telling me that they were current and they've gotten their letter saying, hey, you've got whatever 6 months of forbearance and we're going to report you as late during those. It's crazy, okay? And so that's a little surprising to me, but it's not surprising that at the end of this, they would go back and report you as being late, okay? So you've got to keep an eye on this. Just remember this law. Keep a close eye on your credit reports, exactly what is being reported here. Because these credit bureaus and the furnishers, they don't care about you, okay? You're not their customer. They really don't care about you. So they don't have any problem. It doesn't affect their ability to sleep at night for the executives there. If they go, oh, you know what? We did a bunch of false credit reporting. They're like, oh well. Now, what does get their attention and keeps them up a little bit at night is when they start getting sued. Okay, so keep that in mind. Now, this next section, section 4022, is the foreclosure moratorium consumer right to request forbearance. So we have this outbreak declared by the President on March 13. And now we have, some people call this a FBM, it's federally backed mortgage loan. It means any loan secured by first or subordinate lien. So that would be like your second mortgage, your home equity line, third, whatever it might be. And it's designed principally for the occupancy of 1 to 4 families. So we're not talking about a big apartment complex here. We're talking about a single family home, a duplex, a triplex, I guess you call it a quadplex for if you have 4 homes that are connected there. Now, what's a federally backed mortgage? Insured by Federal Housing Administration, National Housing Act, Housing Community Development, VA, Agriculture, Federal Home Loan Mortgage Corporation. So this Freddie Mac, Fannie Mae. So basically, it's about 2/3 of mortgages will be somehow connected with the federal government. Okay, and we're not going to go through all that here. Just you have to figure that out, and I'll put some videos up about how to do that. But my point is, that's the first step: is my loan covered? Okay. Now we'll talk in other videos that I think the servicers are probably going to do this for even what are called private loans, but we don't know that for sure. Okay. So right now, just the law says that they must do this on these federal type loans. So what do they have to do? Well, we've got forbearance. So during the covered period, so remember, covered period, we can kind of find that back up here is going to be 120 days from when the emergency ends. Okay, and I think it'll be the same covered period here. In other words, same definition. A borrower experiencing financial hardship directly or indirectly, and I'll just say this, there's going to be very few of us that are not experiencing a hardship directly or indirectly caused by this. I mean, most businesses are shut down as I'm recording this. What is it, 15% of the workforce is now unemployed that they were working before this hit. So, I mean, so many people are affected by this. May request forbearance regardless of the delinquency status. So, let's think about that for a second. You are a year behind on your mortgage and you request this, and the mortgage company says, you know, you were behind before this pandemic hit. We're not going to get, nope. Then they need to be sued if they do that, because that would be wrong. That would be illegal. It says regardless of delinquency status. So what do? There's only two things. Submit a request to your servicer. Servicer is the company that sends out the mortgage statements, makes sure that your taxes are paid, your insurance, is kept up on it. And that's who you deal with. So behind them is the investor or the owner of the loan, okay? But servicer is your, quote, mortgage company. You just request it. And you affirm, in other words, you say, I am telling the truth. I'm experiencing a financial hardship. Well, okay, you get it then. How long do you get it? Upon a request by a borrower under paragraph 1, that's what we were just looking at here, such forbearance shall, not probably or rarely, no, it shall be granted for up to 180 days, so 6 months, and shall be extended for an additional period of up to 6 months at the request of the borrower, provided that at the borrower's request, it could be shortened. So in other words, you could say, you know what, I know, Mr. Mortgage Company, you gave me 6 months, but it's only been 3 months and I'm actually ready to get back making my payment. Now, I don't think many people are going to do that, but you have that right to do it. So during the period of forbearance, no fees, penalties, or interest, and we have to keep reading because some people stop there. They go, see, no interest can, no fees, penalties, or interest beyond the amount scheduled or calculated as if the borrower made all contractual payments on time and in full shall accrue. So it's just saying they can't charge you anything extra, okay? But just your normal sort of interest, principal, all that stuff is going to be there. And it's important to understand a forbearance is not forgiveness of the debt, okay? So if I owe $1,500 a month and they give me a 6-month forbearance, that's what, $9,000? So they give me 12 months, that's $18,000. I owe them $18,000 at the end of that time period. And now they can't say, and we're adding late fees, and we're adding property inspection fees, and we're adding, no, my normal principal and interest. That's what can accrue. So the requirements for the servicers. So upon receiving a request, the servicer shall, with no additional documentation required. So if you've ever gone through a loss mitigation application, they're asking you for everything under the sun. This says no additional documentation other than your affirmance, your attestation, in other words, your statement saying, look, my name is John Watts and the COVID-19 pandemic has directly or indirectly caused me a financial hardship. That's like literally all you have to say. So you promise there's been a financial hardship and with no fees, penalties, or interest beyond the normal amounts charged to the borrower, provide the forbearance for up to 180 days. Now, it seems a little bit open. I mean, does that mean the servicer can say, well, I'll give you 1 day, or I'll give you 30 days or 60? As I read this, and I think this is the common view, is that if you ask for 6 months, they have to give you 6 months, okay? Which may be extended for an additional period of 6 months, right? 180 days at the request of borrower, provided borrower's request for an extension is made during the covered period. And at the borrower's request, either the initial or extended period may be shortened. So let's kind of play with some dates here. So it's April 17 as I'm recording this. I call my mortgage company. I get a 6-month forbearance. So that would take me to what, October 17? Now, if we're still in that covered period as of October 17, then I could request up to another 6 months. Okay. Now, how long does it last? Well, we go back up here, and where is it? 120 days after the date. Let's see, 120 days after the date on which a national emergency terminates. So 4 months after termination. Well, what if it terminates tomorrow? Well, then I've got 4 months. So again, let's think this through. Let's be smart and use these laws, and we're not abusing them. We're not going outside of them. We're just staying within the rules. Remember how I said here in section 2, provide at the borrower's request, it may be shortened. Well, it may be that you shorten the period, and then while you're still in that period, but before that covered period ends, you request another forbearance. So we'll have to see how all that plays out, but we just have to, actually look at this and think it through. And I try to do two things on this channel. One is to talk about things, whether that's personal injury or credit reporting or whatever it may be. Just sort of talk about it, tell you without, sort of citing the book, chapter, and verse. Okay. But then also, I want to show you the actual law so you can see it. So it's not just me talking about it, but you can read it for yourself. So we've got this could be a forbearance up to 180 days, which may be extended for an additional period of 180 days. Okay. And then we have this foreclosure moratorium. Now remember, this is only for the federally backed loans. It says servicer may not initiate any judicial, so that would be like in Florida where they file a judicial lawsuit against you, and if they win, then they can foreclose, or non-judicial foreclosure. That's like in Alabama where there's no judge involved. They just advertise in the paper and they kind of do it on their own with no judge looking over them. That's why it's called non-judicial. So they can't initiate any of that. They can't move for a foreclosure judgment or order a sale or execute a foreclosure-related eviction or a foreclosure sale for not less than 60-day period beginning on March 18. So that would take us to what? April 18, May 18. Okay. So now after that, unless this gets changed, they can still move forward unless there's some state law that prevents it. So those are the two sections. So remember, with the credit reporting, if they give you an accommodation, as long as you do whatever it is you're supposed to do, if anything, then they have to keep your present reporting the same all the way through that period. So if you're current, they have to report you as current. If you're late, they can report you as late. Now, what about for the forbearance? Well, if you're hurting at all, I suggest call your mortgage company, get the forbearance, okay? And see if, first of all, you can call your mortgage company and say, hey, do I qualify under this CARES Act? Do I have a federally backed loan here? And so I'll give you some ways to figure it out on your own, but you can also just ask your servicer, your mortgage company, and they have to tell you. And if you do qualify for it, say, if this is true, look, I'm facing a hardship, I want a forbearance, and, I don't see any reason to not ask for 6 months, okay? And so do that. Keep an eye on your credit report. So these two things go together, right? We have the credit reporting. I think that's why they put it first in the statute. Hey, this is the credit report. And then they talk about with your mortgage company. Well, those two things go together. If your mortgage company gives you forbearance, they have to report you as current, assuming you go into it as current. And if you find any of these companies that are breaking the law, my suggestion is, number one, document it, okay? Make it very, very, very clear what's happening. So if you get a letter from them saying, we're going to report you as late, well, don't throw away the letter. Keep the letter, okay? Keep an eye on your credit reports. It may even be worth it during this time period to get some credit monitoring, okay? And watch what's happening with your credit reports. And any of these companies that you reach what the law calls an accommodation with, and remember this, the accommodation, that's any company, okay? The foreclosure moratorium, the forbearance, that's only a federally backed mortgage loan, but the accommodation is anybody. I mean, it could be a hospital that you're making payments to. It could be your car loan company. your mortgage company, just anybody, okay? Get those accommodations, get them in writing so that you can show exactly what you're supposed to do. And I think I did a video like a month ago on this. I mean, whatever help they give you, get the proof, okay? And then if they break that, now you've got something to hammer them with. So are they doing what they have agreed to do? Are you doing what you agreed to do? Check your credit reports. And so if they're breaking the law, you want to be able to document that and then sit down, either in person or by telephone or video. And I'll just tell you this, in my firm, I mean, we have an office and people can come to it, but 99% of my meetings for the last, I don't know, 5+ years have been by phone or by video, just because it's more convenient for people. You don't have to worry about, what do we do with our kids or traffic or parking or anything like that. Just use your phone or Zoom or whatever you want to use. So my point is, however you get with a consumer lawyer, sit down with one physically, virtually, go over this, find out, is this ready to sue? Do you need to do a dispute? Do you need to write a letter to your company? What do you need to do? And then take action on that. So appreciate you guys watching this video. I may not have said this at the beginning. I can't remember now, but my name is John Watts. I'm a consumer protection lawyer in Alabama. And you can get in touch with us at alabamaconsumer.com, or you can give us a call at 205-879-2447. Thanks for watching this, and I will catch you guys in the next one. Bye-bye.